Hello, everybody. This is Ann Tucker, Parent Path Founder, and today I'm speaking with Meredith Gross, my fellow Parent Path Founder, about freedom from identity and what that means, what it looks like, and all that it entails. So how are you, Meredith?
I'm great today, Ann. How are you?
I'm really good. Gorgeous autumn, so
Isn't
there's
it?
no reason not to be in a good mood.
Exactly.
So anyway, those of you who are listening, a couple weeks ago, Meredith and Sue and Sharon and I started talking about what it means to lose your identity and how that can sort of feel scary at times, but in the process of losing your identity and the vulnerable place you feel when that happens, you also have access to huge amounts of freedom. And we talked about specifics in our life, but I'd love to talk with Meredith about that whole theme. So Meredith, can you share with us your thoughts around identity and losing your identity and finding it again and losing it again and finding it again? Because I've kind of come to a place that we're constantly losing. We're constantly shifting all that.
Oh.
Can you share with us some stuff about your life?
Sure, absolutely. And I have found that to be so true as well, that it is such a state of flux, and it depends on the moment, the mood, the environment, the people we're around. So I loved our conversation the other day, and I know what started it was this idea that I had a conversation with my stepmother around not being able to write for Parent Pathfinders because Sam was no longer special needs. And just if that were so, and then that meant I was no longer the mother of a special needs child, which for me has a whole identity around it. It has a whole expectation to society about what you do, how you spend your time, and if that's no longer true, then kind of who am I? And in general, we looked at I've been thinking about this identity and different points in my life that were either easier or more difficult. And I was realizing how much of it really did stem from this identity piece. Because once I have an identity of something, for example, I was a great student. Like from 6th grade, day one, I loved it. I love my rules. I love my structure. I have a great intellectual mind and curiosity. And yet when I got through college, again, very successful student, but it was like, oh, how do I transition to now a working woman? Like that was really hard, and I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to navigate, and that was a really tough transition, as was kind of staying home with my kids. You know, I did make the transition. I got my master's in business. I was an executive. I was working crazy hours, getting my graduate degree. Then I took time out to have my kids, and I was like, I will have them. I will give them 5 years, to start, and then I'm back to the corporate world. That was my plan. And then, of course, Sam had something else in mind.
Right.
So, again, it was that, and that transition to even becoming like a stay-at-home mom was really hard for me. And so I'm realizing a lot of that did relate to my roles and identity and who I thought I was and how that was being changed on me, and that was difficult for me to navigate initially.
And you know what I noticed from you telling me about all these different changes that we kind of all go through throughout lifetimes? You had gotten into a place where you were really successful being a student, and it was comfortable, and you knew how to be successful. And then, okay, there was a little glitch with the transition, but you learned how to be a really successful corporate working woman, and you had figured that out, and you were doing a great job at that. And then you had children, and you had to figure that whole role out, and how do I be a successful mother? So it's almost like there's a protection, and I'm including myself in this, when you find something that you are good at and feel good about doing, and that's your identity, and you feel comfortable in it. When that changes, it's hard to let go of because you don't know what's coming next. But then when you drop the identity and you're just free to be whoever you are, tell us about that, because that's kind of where you are now, right?
Yes, and it's been interesting because you're absolutely right. I have also found that my identity and this role has been a real barrier to my authenticity. both for myself and how I present myself in my relationships, but then also how I treat other people. You know, like if I have a certain expectation about what, you know, a husband is or a mother or a brother or a daughter, you know, that having that identity that I put on someone else has also caused a lot of grief in our relationships. So the more I'm able to just show up in the moment who I am and not be connected to the different roles or identities I might claim, you know, like mother or wife or businesswoman. If I just show up as me, there is so much more freedom and creativity in it.
Oh, you know what? I'm completely resonating with you, with what you're saying. Because I'm thinking of the times that I've spent with my children where I'm just having the best time. I'm not thinking that I'm their mom right now. I'm just having fun with them. Is that what you're getting at?
Absolutely. You're just being Anne. And so
I'm not being their mom. I'm just being who I am.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's wonderful. So, but it's you know, back to, you know, you had asked how does it feel and what does it look like?
Right.
And it just feels, in some ways, it's very scary. It's very not ungrounded, but it's almost like I don't know what to cling to. Like even now I'm in this weird space of, okay, so I have this website that you go to it and it's totally under construction because I don't know how to put words around who I am and what I can offer people. So there's a benefit in that shorthand we all have with these labels and these roles and these identities, but I just know that that's not the entire piece of who I am, and I also know that that's going to change.
Right.
So,
it's almost like the identity is good to get you started in the right direction, but when you're creating something completely new, it's more freeing not to have any label or identity attached to it because you don't know what it's going to become.
Yeah. And it's so funny because even just finding different names for my website, because I was like, okay, parenting coach, healer, energy, therapist, counselor, and nothing really hit the spot until finally I was like, well, let me just use my name because I know that's always going to follow me. So I'll just use my name, and that's going to mean different things at different times. So, yeah.
You could be Meredith Gross, creator of awesomeness.
There you go.
Or I don't know.
Unicorn tamer.
Great. Unicorn rider.
Exactly.
Awesome.
But I do feel like, so it's been a big shift, and I'm still playing around with what does it mean to be shedding my identity over and over again. And I will say I am so grateful to my mother for giving great advice when I was considering marrying my husband, Rick. And she goes, think about how he manages change. And I didn't really realize at the time in my 26, 7-year-old self, but that's been so true because he has been someone, and I've even asked him, I'm like, how can you still love me given that you met me, I'm like working like a maniac, earning a living, very ambitious, and, you know, flash forward to now, and, you know, I haven't worked, and I'm this very nurturing, intuitive person. And he says, because I just knew who you were. And so that goes beyond,
whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Meredith, thank you so much for your time. This was really fun. I'll talk to you hopefully soon.
Okay, go out and ride those unicorns.
Riding my unicorn with his rainbow sparkly horn.
Awesome.
I'll catch you next time. Thanks, Meredith. Bye-bye.